Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with
Nerdarchy Ted.
D&D campaign world building. Does this even matter?
Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter. Get weekly gaming tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
We have a GM 911, which you can find the original post in the description below, and if you have your own you would like to send to us, nerdarchy@gmail.com. So Norkel Bowhunter is basically working on his campaign, building his world, and he wants there to have been, I believe, either 4 or 3 previous ages. I don't remember if this is the 4th age or
There could have been 4 ages previously.
yes, and like he's trying to math it out and figure out how to properly age it, and I would never even bother with all that, to be honest with you, but that's personally just me. I know some people like to nerd out on these things and figure it out. Also, like if you look at any established campaign setting, I'm sure you can find timelines of Forgotten Realms. Dragonlance had a great one that was fun to read. I believe Dark Sun, you can sift through and find stuff for that as well. And online, you could probably find even more. But here's the thing, like, I don't think your players are going to math out, if it makes sense or not.
Really, the amount of work that you want to put on this is going to determine how much work you want to put on it. It honestly is. The players are not going to typically, now I can't speak for everyone out there, but typically most players don't care about all of the nuance that came before. They care about their story. They care about what is going on in the world that they're playing. Now, if you have this huge, rich history that they're going to interact with, and they're going to find out these things, and they're going to uncover mysteries that is related to this, well, then uncover those mysteries as it comes about in your game. I wouldn't spend a lot of time with it. I know in the live action role playing game that Nerdarchy Nate and myself, or Nate the Nerdarch and I, as well as others, when we made our LARP, we were playing in the 4th age, and there were things that happened, and it was literally every time all the nations decided there was going to be a war and this event happened, it would cause the end of the age and it would all, restart. And it was about, okay, well, things were leading up to what would happen if it happened again.
Yeah, I mean, he brings that up, and really, like, that's actually just how things happen. Like, if you just look at the real world history, the rise and fall of empires is just, the history's full of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can look to that and flavor it with magic as well. But you need to, what you should do? You should take a sheet of paper and make 2 columns. The things that are known and things that are unknown, right? That you think are important. And work on the things that are known that are going to come up, and the things that are unknown, work on them as you're doing it. Unless, of course, you just enjoy doing this, doing the campaign building and the world building, then by all means, go right ahead. Depending on how crazy you want to go in the math, I'm sure you can find actual real world data to see how long civilizations have lasted. And just because your ages change, and you're saying, you're kind of like doing a complete reset with each age, there's no reason why you can't have things that are left over from the last age. Like, one of the problems you expressed was, well, I want the humans to come here, but I want the older races to already be there and be established, but then the numbers don't work because of the way humans breed like rats and rabbits. And one of the ways you can fix that is to be like, all right, new age for humans, but we still have stragglers from the last age, and they happen to be these long-lived older races. That's how I would address it. As a general rule of thumb, it's not going to be that clean. Like, it's not like ripping off a Band-Aid with each age and be like, gone. Like, nothing is left.
Unless you are honestly talking about where the gods step in and wipe everything and start anew, with the ground being there and what was there before stays, but new life, comes and sees what's been before. Unless you're talking about that level of age.
Yeah, it's almost like it would almost have to be like a planetary extinction.
Yes.
But leave enough stuff to restart. And that's not going to work. And just the way you mentioned, the way you talk about it, you're like, well, the barriers between planes, break down and evil stuff come through and we got plagues and this and that. That's fine. Like you can do it. You can stagger your ages. Like this could be the fourth age of man, but it may be the second age of dwarves and the first age of elves still, and it could be very much like Lord of the Rings, where your elves are kind of declining and they're on their way out and they're all getting ready to get on the boat and go to the other world, and leave a Middle Earth behind.
Mm-hmm. So like in our world, as we're creating and doing things, I don't pay much attention to the things that happened previously because it's not important to my story. And there's some times where something will come up and this will be brought in. I know I ran a fan game where we actually investigated an old, Mecha Arcana golem that was, as tall as a mountain, and literally a mountain grew around it because it's been sitting for so long, and it's that many ages old because it's from one of the first wars, and it was a dungeon because it was that big.
Right, and like you described the age as it's been here so long, a mountain grew over it. How long is that? Is that 10,000 years? Is it 100,000 years? Is it 1,000,000 years? I don't know.
It really doesn't matter because the fact that a mountain sprung up around this thing.
Wait a minute. What if your wizard can cast carbon dating?
That's not a spell in the player's handbook.
Okay. I was a little concerned there. Yeah.
So, like, the players understand and the characters understand that mountains don't form overnight unless, you've got lots of people casting Move Earth. And therefore, that gives the players of the game the understanding that a lot of time has passed for this to happen. And that's all you need.
And also, too, you're trying to solve like these fantasy, medieval style problems with modern science and thinking, which isn't available to your characters that are in the game. They don't have modern mathematician skills to bring to bear. They don't have modern science to use. They have magic, and like the magic can tell them whatever you want it to tell them, because again, you're the medium for the information. So if you decide that it's only going to let them know, whatever, it's 100 years, it's 1,000 years, or maybe it doesn't even work that way. It's really, really old, or it might be like, oh, this is from the first age. Well, how long is the first age? Did it last 100,000 years? Well, that's great. But was the second age 3,000 years? Like, it doesn't even matter. It just becomes like, numbers. So you can just throw this stuff out there in an interesting way. Maybe some of your players will want you to dive deeper, but you can just be like, I don't know. Or you don't know, how would you figure that out? Well, if they start, coming up with a scientific reason, then right away that they can't figure that out. Like, maybe a person could, but not a person in your world because they don't have freaking scientists.
So I think it all boils down to the fact that do as much as work as you want for your campaign world. If you think it matters and you want to do it, by all means, go for it. And it can literally be whatever you want it to be. If you think your players are going to have fun and really enjoy figuring out all these different nuances with the different ages and whatever, awesome, great, give it to them. If you think that, like so many other players that I've come across, it's just going to be like, okay, it's a note on the character sheet, or, it's quickly forgotten, then don't kill yourself with the effort.
Because they're like, can I kill it? No, it's the first age. You can't really do anything with it. You can just learn about it. And they're like, whatever. Does it have loot? Well, yeah, there might be some. Well, here's the other thing, too. Like, you also want to avoid the trap of pigeonholing yourself as a DM, of doing all this work that you feel like you then need to force it on your players. It's one thing if they want to. It's one thing if you can kind of, put it in the background and release it slowly. But if you ever feel like you're doing like this 5-minute monologue at a time of telling them what happened in the first stage, even if they didn't ask, then there also might be a problem as well. So you also want to be aware of that. That's a trap that's easy to fall into as a DM. I know I've done it. I come up with cool things and I want to tell them about it. But you have to really, Yeah, you have to find a way that's relevant to them to introduce it and where they can interact with the information, because it's a lot less fun if you just vomit it at them and there is no real way for them to do anything with it.
So, what do you guys think? You got any suggestions for Norcol? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. It's a great spot for that, and that's down below in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
And I would never even bother with all that, to be honest with you, but that's personally just me. I know some people like to nerd out on these things and figure it out. Also, like, if you look at any established campaign setting, I'm sure you can find timelines of Forgotten Realms. Dragonlance had a great
The newsletter. Get weekly gaming tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
We have a GM 911, which you can find the original post in the description below. And if you have your own you would like to send to us, nerdarchy@gmail.com. So Norkel Bowhunter is basically working on his campaign building. Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with
Nerdarchy's Ted.
D&D campaign world building. Does this even matter?
Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy.
His world, and he wants there to have been, I believe, either 4 or 3 previous ages. I don't remember if this is the 4th age or
There could have been 4 ages previously.
Yes, and like he's trying to math it out and figure out how to properly age it. One that was fun to read. I believe Dark Sun, you can sift through and find stuff for that as well. And online you could probably find even more. But here's the thing, like, I don't think your players are going to math out, if it makes sense or not.